Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. I'm Officer Jeremiah, and he's IUIC Birmingham. And today we're going to touch on a topic. The title of the class is called Silent Killers, Identifying and Removing the Spiritual Cancer Within. But before we get to that topic, we are the Israelites according to the Bible. We are God's chosen people. And when I say we, I mean the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Contrary to what you're being taught in the church, which is nothing. Can I prove that we the Israelites? Yes, I can. Let's read that in Deuteronomy 28. For the people at home, if this is your first time watching, like I said, we the Israelites, and we are God's chosen people. Read that for me.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15.
So these are the stipulations that Moses gave the children of Israel after he delivered them out of the land of Egypt, right? Read.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So Moses told us if we didn't obey God's commandments, that we will be cursed as a nation of people. Let's read one of the curses and see if we identify with these curses or the people over there in Israel today. Read verse 68.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Name me another race of people that went into slavery by the way of slave ships. Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
What were we not going to see again? We didn't see the land of Egypt again. Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
What race of people were taken from one land, brought to another, and sold to their enemies? You said it right. We were. Read.
For bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And throughout the course of these many years, we had many people that tried to rise up and save us, but their plan failed. Why? Because we strayed away from God's commandments. Now, to the topic. Before I get to the topic, I want to show y'all a video, right? I said that the title of the class is called Silent Killers, Identifying and Removing the Spiritual Cancer, right? So I want to show y'all a little news update of some of the things we got going on right here in Birmingham. And I'm going to tie it into the topic today, all right? Play that video.
To Damian McDaniel, who is now accused of killing 14 people, including Birmingham firefighter Jordan Melton. And Birmingham police say McDaniel's violent crime spree started with Melton's murder in July 2023.
He is also charged with killing Mia Nixon in January of 2024 and UPS employee Anthony Love Jr. in April of 2024. Officers say at least one of those cases was a murder for hire. And remember, McDaniel is also accused in 11 other homicides, including 2 mass shootings. Your reporter, Jillian Brooks, peeling back the layers to this complex investigation, starting off our team coverage.
Sarah Morgan, today, Mayor of Birmingham, Randall Woodfin, says that it is horrific that one person could cause so much pain and damage throughout the city. Now, Damian McDaniel is now linked to 14 homicides in the city of Birmingham, including the 5 Point South mass shooting that happened in September and the shooting and killing of Jordan Melton at Fire Station 9 in 2023.
All right, take it off. So this guy right here, Damian McDaniel, he's the definition of a silent killer. But when we look at things like this, we got to realize that these things what we're seeing right now is the result of years of neglect or oppression or whatever it may be, right? But this is the end result. Now, look up the definition of silent killer for me real quick. I sent that to you. Pull up that definition. And read 2 Ezra 5 and 8 for me real quick.
The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 8. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be out sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and mischievous women shall bring forth monsters.
So a lot of times in these communities, in our community today, also give me Isaiah 3 and verse 1. Also in our community today, we wonder why the children are terrorizing the communities. And it start in the house. When you don't have a strong household with a male and a woman, a male and a female, a mother and a father that's raising these children, a lot of times what it turns out to be is these mischievous monsters, the monsters out here today running in the community. They killing everybody. This guy was accused of committing 14 murders. He had 2 mass shootings in 2 days. All right, read that in Isaiah. Start at verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 3 and verse 1. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty man,
the who?
The mighty man, and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, and the prudent and the ancient.
So the Lord took away the leaders in the community. And believe it or not, we got black pastors right now. They got churches on every block, but they're not teaching the word of God. They're not going to these communities and instructing these men how to live their life, how to get their life together. They're not doing it. Now go to verse 8.
Verse 8. For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord to provoke the eyes of his glory.
So these pastors in the churches, the reason why the communities are the way that they are, because you have men of God who have the word of God but are not using the word of God to fix their communities. Verse 12.
Verse 12. As for my people.
God say as for his people. Who is God's people? God's people, believe it or not, are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He did not come back to save all people. He said as for his people, read.
Children are their oppressors.
Is that not what we see in our communities today? Children that are oppressing the community. Read.
And women rule over them.
And a lot of times these monsters and these children are raised in a household with single mothers. That's why they're so emotional. Read.
O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy path.
So because we don't have strong males, strong men in the community, that's the reason our communities are the way that they are. Y'all got that definition for me? So now we're going to get into the class, all right? Silent killers, identifying and removing the spiritual counsel. Read that first part for me right there.
A silent killer refers to a condition or disease that can be dangerous or deadly, but often has no or very few obvious symptoms until it's advanced or has caused significant damage. This makes them difficult to detect early, leading to delayed diagnosis and potential complications.
Right. So the comparison, and if you read down, you got many different silent killers as high blood pressure, diabetes, carbon monoxide poison. But then when you get to you can take it off. When you get to the social and psychological aspect of silent killers, a lot of time is low self-esteem, stress, depression, and could even be toxic relationships, right? So what we're going to touch on today is the low self-esteem. We're going to touch on low self-esteem, lust, the breakdown of the household, things of that nature, right? But in particular, low self-esteem. Now, a lot of times these silent killers, they start early on in our phase. But we got to ask ourselves, why? Because black people in particular, not only black people, but Hispanics and Native Americans, a lot of us do have low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem, the root of our problem stems from our disobedience to the Lord. But when you trace it back to the household, a lot of us weren't raised in, like I said, two-parent households where our fathers were able to instill the confidence in us that we needed to have as men growing up. A lot of us was raised by our mothers. So we have low self-esteem. Even outside of the household, when you look in the world today, the image of the black man that's portrayed in the media. A lot of times a black man can only be an entertainer, rapper, drug dealer. Like, we have no positive self-images of positivity in our community. The biblical figures that we see on TV today, they got a new movie out, King of Kings, where they portray Jesus Christ as being a white man. But in the Bible, it say he black. Adam was black. Right. Job was black. Right. Solomon was black. David was black. Paul was black. But all the images that we see in the world today are images of the Caucasian man. So it's no wonder why we have self-esteem. But we're going to go into today why so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans suffer from low self-esteem. Give me 1 Kings chapter 8 and start at verse 33. So like I said, we got to get to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem that we have as Israelites is we don't know God. We don't have an identity, and we have been stripped. Our culture and our heritage has been stripped away from us. 1 Kings 8:33.
1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 33. When thy people Israel be smitten down before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee.
Because what?
Because they have sinned against thee.
When you observe the different captivities that we went through in this land, from Assyria all the way to America, The reason why we have been stripped from our identity is because we sinned against God. That's the root of all of our problems. We turned our back on God. God never turned his back on us. Keep reading.
And shall turn again to thee, and confess thy name, and pray, and make supplication unto thee in this house.
So the sin is what separated us from God. Now read verse 37.
Verse 37. If there be in the land famine.
So this is one of the results of us turning our back on God. Famine, read.
If there be pestilence.
Pestilence.
Blasting, mildew, locusts, or if there be caterpillar.
Well, our foods don't produce how they're supposed to. You get mold and mildew on your food, or the caterpillars eat your food up. Read.
If their enemy besiege them in the land of their cities, whatsoever plague, whatsoever sickness there be.
So the plagues and the sicknesses that we get stem from us being disobedient to God. Read.
With prayer and supplication soever be made by any man, or by all thy people Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart.
The what?
The plague of his own heart.
So the plagues of our heart, and that could be different for each individual. You know, some of us were raised in the houses where we had good confidence and good self-esteem, you know. So all of us have an issue. All of our issues may not be the same, but they're all common. So it says, if any man, or by all the people Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart. Read.
And spread forth his hands toward this house.
So every man has different plagues. Some of us have low self-esteem. Some of us suffer from depression, anxiety, stress, depression, low self-esteem. We all have different issues and vices that we deal with, right? Now give me Sirach 19 and verse 1. And a lot of times the vices that we have, when they go unnoticed for a period of time and we don't realize them, they start to affect us in the long run. And we're going to go over some examples of that. Sirach 19 and verse 1.
Sirach chapter 19 and verse 1. A laboring man.
So a man that works, he has the title of a laboring man, meaning he doesn't stray away from work. Read.
That is given to drunkenness.
But his vice or his issue or his plague is that he likes to drink. Read.
Shall not be rich.
So because he has that vice, now he's a working man, that title was given to him. But his vice or his plague is that he likes to drink. And because that vice he hasn't checked it, it starts to corrupt him. He's laboring to get money, but because he has this vice, he won't get rich. Go ahead.
And he that contemneth small things.
And he that hateth small things, read.
Shall fall by little and little.
So a person that disregards or doesn't pay attention to the small vices that he have, they're going to start deteriorating away at your soul. You're going to fall little by little. And that's what silent killers do. That's the same thing blood pressure do, or diabetes or cancer. It lays dormant for a period of time and it goes unnoticed. And then when you finally notice it, a lot of times it's too late. So we're going to go over some examples of one of our forefathers that had low self-esteem and what it eventually led to. 1 Samuel 9 and verse 21. And give me that definition of low self-esteem. 1 Samuel 9, 21. And then we're going to jump to 1 Samuel 15 and 17.
1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 21. And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? Wherefore then speakest thou so to me?
So Saul didn't view himself as a man of honor. He considered his tribe and his family and his lineage to be small. He considered himself to be small. They wanted to anoint him king, but he didn't see himself as a king. Now let's go to 1 Samuel 15 and 17.
1 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 17. And Samuel said, When thou wast little in thine own sight, was thou not made the head of all the tribes of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee king over Israel?
So Samuel had to remind Saul that when I chose you to be king, you didn't view yourself as one that could be king. You said you seen yourself as little in your own sight. Oh, y'all got that definition? Pull it up for me. Read that for me, so.
Low self-esteem refers to a persistent negative opinion of oneself, characterized by a lack of confidence, feelings of worthlessness, and self-criticism.
You can never do nothing good. You can never do nothing right. You don't congratulate yourself or pat yourself on the back when you do something good. Go ahead.
It's essentially having a poor opinion of yourself, judging yourself harshly, and placing little value on your own abilities and worth.
All right. So some of the traits that come with having low self-esteem, you got negative self-images. Negative self-image, lack of confidence, self-criticism, difficulty accepting compliments, fear of social situations, and the impact it has on your mental health. It can worsen, cause anxiety, depression, or body image issues. That's for you lard back brothers. You can take that off. A lot of these lard back brothers got low self-esteem too. Right. You know what I'm saying? And and the result that we see of them being overweight is because they've been dealing with them issues for so long. And how do they feed it? They just continue to eat and eat and eat. They won't get up and go work out. They feeling sorry for themselves. You know, we're gonna touch on that too. But back to 1 Samuel 10 and read 9 and 21 again. Then we're gonna read 10 and 22. So Saul did not see himself as one or carry himself as one that had honor. Now he's an Israelite. Before you read that, give me Deuteronomy 33 and 29. We're gonna come back to 1 Samuel 9 and 21. And the way that he viewed himself is not how the Lord views us. What does the Lord say about being an Israelite from any tribe of that matter? 33 and verse 29.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33 and verse 29. Happy art thou, O Israel.
God said you're supposed to be happy to be an Israelite. Read.
Who is like unto thee?
What nation is like unto us? Nobody. He said we're above all nations that are upon the face of the earth. Read.
O people saved by the Lord.
We are the one that's saved by the Lord. We are the one that God is coming back to save. Read.
The shield of thy help. And who is the sword of thy excellency?
We are the ones that God is going to use to bring this nation down. Read.
And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee. And thou shalt tread upon their high places.
So this word is going to be ours. So there was no reason why Saul should have had low self-esteem. If he understood that this is not too far from the time that the Lord brought us out of Egypt. So he understand and know the miracles of the Lord destroying the Egyptians for us, but yet he still looks at himself and his tribe as one of the small tribes. He's not supposed to have that mentality. Let's go back to 1 Samuel 9.
1 Samuel chapter 9 and verse 21. And Saul answered and said, Am not I a Benjamite of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the least of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin.
So he viewed himself. Saul had low self-esteem, lack of confidence, negative view of oneself, right? 1 Samuel 10 and verse 21. Read verse 22.
1 Samuel chapter 10 and verse 21. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul the son of Kish was taken. And when they sought him, he could not be found.
So Saul is about to be anointed to be king. But when they're looking for him, they can't find him. Read.
Therefore they inquired of the Lord further, if the man should yet come thither. And the Lord answered, Behold, he have hid himself among the stuff.
So he's supposed to be getting anointed, but he's hiding because he don't view himself as that king. So this is the beginning. He got low self-esteem, and now it's time for him to be anointed, and he's hiding. 1 Samuel 13, verse 5.
1 Samuel chapter 13 and verse 5. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash, eastward from Beth-haven.
So Saul is already anointed to be king. He got an army, and the Philistines want to come and fight him now. Verse 6.
When the men of Israel saw that they were in a scrape, for the people were distressed, then the people did hide themselves in caves, and in the thickets, and in rocks, and in high places, and in pits.
That sound familiar, don't it? When Saul was anointed to be king, he hid himself. Now that spirit that he's rolling in is on the people. So now they hiding themselves. Read.
And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling.
So as a leader, the spirit that you roll in, a lot of time it's going to be on the people that you leading. So it's very mindful when you dealing in that spirit of low self-esteem that you check it, because if you got a wife, if you got kids, whatever spirit you dealing with, they going to deal with it too. So we got to be men, and we got to be able to examine ourselves, see our shortcomings, and fix it. But Saul didn't do it, and let's find out more of what it led to. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And he tarried 7 days according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him.
So Samuel gave Saul strict commandment. He said, wait on me 7 days. He understood the mission. He understood that he had to wait. But what did he do? Verse 9.
And Saul said, bring hither a burnt offering to me, and peace offerings. And he offered the burnt offering. And it came to pass that as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him that he might salute him.
So he knew he wasn't supposed to offer that burnt offering, but he did it anyway after he got the commandment from Samuel to wait. So he's very indecisive. He's very disobedient. So that rolling in that spirit of low self-esteem, it's not, if you don't check it, it's going to turn into a lot of other things too. Keep reading.
And Samuel said, what hast thou done? And Saul said, because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou camest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Michmash. Therefore said I, the Philistines will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord. I forced myself therefore, and offered a burnt offering.
So now Saul is rolling in that spirit of doubt. So from low self-esteem, that spirit is now on the people. Now he's lying. Now he's doubtful. So it's like a domino effect. Pull up that definition of domino effect too when y'all get a chance. Keep reading.
And Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue.
So now Samuel is starting to instruct Saul that because he had these spirits that he didn't check, and it's starting to have a domino effect, the Lord is about to take the kingdom away from him. And that's going to be the end of us all if we don't check the vices and the spirits that we have within us that have the potential to grow. Y'all got that definition? Pull it up for me. Read that so.
The domino effect refers to a chain reaction where one event triggers a series of similar or related events, like falling dominoes. It can be used literally to describe a physical chain reaction, or metaphorically to describe interconnected systems where one event can have a wide-ranging consequences.
So that's what's happening to Saul right now. You know, from low self-esteem, you can take it off. From low self-esteem that he's having, it's starting to create a whole lot of other issues because he didn't address the first issue. Now read 1 Samuel 16 and verse 14. Now we get into a familiar story, right? So the low self-esteem, the spirit is on the people. Now he's down. Now he's lying. You know, now he's doing things he know he's not supposed to be doing. Now what else happened? Read.
1 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 14. But the spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord troubled him.
So now Saul is about to start rolling that evil spirit because he's been neglecting on fixing his issues from the beginning. Verse 23.
Verse 23. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from God was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hands. So Saul was refreshed and was well, and the evil spirit departed from him.
Now you got a man of God, a righteous man around Saul, David. And whenever this evil spirit came on Saul, David played the harp. So David is beneficial to Saul. But what happens when you have low self-esteem? 1 Samuel 18 and verse 5.
Book of 1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 5. And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely.
So David was subject to Saul. He understood that Saul was the Lord's anointed, and he did everything in his power to help David. But when you're dealing with people who got low self-esteem, there's nothing that you can do to them that's going to benefit them because all they can think about is themselves. Read.
And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
So David in the spirit, you know, David as a man of God, whatever David does to benefit the nation, it benefits Saul. So David is on Saul's team, but let's see how Saul is rolling. Keep reading.
And it came to pass as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet King Saul with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played, and said, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000.
Now, I don't know about y'all, but 1,000 men is a lot. That's still a lot of men to kill. And you got a man on your team that's slain 10,000. So together y'all slain 11,000. I can't even count. 11,000 men, right? That's a benefit to the nation. Y'all, you got two mighty warriors that's doing a mighty work on the battlefield. But let's see how Saul interprets this. Read.
Verse 8. And Saul was very wroth.
Why was he wroth?
And the saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom?
You see what your mind do to you when you're rolling in low self-esteem? You can't see that you got a man on your team that's benefiting. Whatever y'all doing together is benefiting the nation. But you more worried about what the women said about David than what y'all doing for the nation. You start to be envious towards your brother. All stemming from him having low self-esteem, him not having that confidence within his own self. I know me. I want a righteous man beside me. I want a man that can sling 10,000 beside me. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get beside him. Hey man, how you do that? You know what I'm saying? What's the secret sauce? What do I need to do? Show me how to wield this sword. That's what he should have did. But because he had low self-esteem, he started to have hatred toward David. Why? Because his own works was evil. We're gonna go down to verse 9.
Verse 9. And Saul eyed David from that day and forward.
So from that day forward, he had an evil eye towards David. Now, what was Saul's end? 1 Samuel 28 and verse 4.
Book of 1 Samuel, chapter 28 and verse 4. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not.
Now, the Philistines coming against Saul, he afraid now. You know, so we went from low self-esteem. Now you put that spirit on the people. You lying. You indecisive. You trying to please the people. You covetous. Now you got hatred towards a man that's benefiting you. Now the Lord is starting to forsake you. Now you praying to him. He won't even answer your prayer. Keep reading.
And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor.
So now he's starting to seek out other gods. He started to get into divination and necromancy. He wanna bring up the spirits because of the nation that's around him. He full-blown reprobate at this point. Verse 15.
Verse 15. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do.
So now Saul is acknowledging that the Lord is departed from him. But this all stemmed from him having low self-esteem in the beginning. If he would have fixed that problem, possibly could have been a great leader. But because he didn't fix that issue that he had in the beginning, a domino effect took place. And Saul's end was departing and destruction from the Lord. The Lord forsook him. So now, how do we fix this issue that we have of low self-esteem, right? 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. First thing we got to be able to do is examine and look in the mirror and see, is that you? Do I have a spirit of low self-esteem? Am I always depressed? Am I always stressed? Do I have a victim's mentality? Do I blame everybody else for what I do? Read that.
2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates.
So you got to be able to look in the mirror and identify the spirit that you're rolling in. You got to be honest with yourself. And it's hard to do. You know, and if you can't do it about yourself, what should you be doing? Hebrews 10:25. Because a lot of y'all right now, you probably been watching at home for 2-3 months, and you ain't made your way to the school yet. Well, guess what? You ain't in the truth if you don't come to the school. Congregating is a part of being in the truth.
Right.
And a lot of people don't come around because they really don't, because it requires a certain type of responsibility within yourself. You know, if you come into God's house where God's people are, you're going to have to fix yourself. So you know what you do? You sit at home and you watch online, twiddle your fingers, you become a individualite. You can't be like that. If you know about this truth and you've been watching online for weeks and you ain't came to the school, you got the devil on you.
Right.
Read that.
Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 25.
This is how you get out. If you got that spirit on you, this is how you get that spirit off of you. Read.
Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another.
But doing what?
But exhorting one another. And so much the more as you see the day approaching.
So exhortation is what's needed to get out of that low self-esteem spirit. A lot of times you need brothers and sisters around you, not only to point out the bad, but to point out the good. Because a person that has low self-esteem is not able to recognize the good that they do at times. That's the importance of congregating. So we're going to tell you when you're doing something wrong, and we're going to encourage you when you're doing something right. It's exhorting each other. The last part again, and so much the more.
And so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
What day is that? That's the day of the Lord. That's the day of judgment. So you can't get right. You can't be exhorted if you're sitting at home, if you're not congregating, if you're not talking to the people. Because exhortation, correction, rebuke, exhortation, all that happens inside of the body. So one way to get that spirit off you is to congregate, to be around like-minded people, to be around the elders, to receive the correction, not as something that's going to bring you down, but something that's going to build you up. Ecclesiastes 9 and 11. Another thing that creates that low self-esteem is you doing half-ass work. So if you've been given a task to do, you gotta give it your all. None of us can praise God or do for God when we dead. So right now is the time to be trying to do all the work that you can. So along with congregating, read that Ecclesiastes 9 and 11.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill.
Oh, you know what? I meant 9 and 10. I'm sorry. But that was good too.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might.
So when you've been given a task, whether you in the kitchen, whether you mopping, whether you folding flyers, whether you on the media team, whatever it is that you've been given, it said whatever your hand find to do, read.
Do it with thy might.
Do it with thy might. Why?
For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest.
So when you die, that's it. You can't build upon your works when you're in the grave. You can only build upon your works when you're in the truth. But the work that you're given, you got to give it 110%. You got to give it your all. Because when you put your all in work that you do, you take appreciation in the things that you create. Other people see that. God see that. So another way to build that low self-esteem is whenever you're given a task, give it 100%. Give it your all, because you never know who watching. Another way you fix the low self-esteem that you have, Philippians 3:13. Some of y'all hold on to stuff, Stuff didn't happen 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Okay, maybe you didn't have your father. Maybe you didn't have your mother. But you're grown now. You got kids. And you still allowing that, whatever you went through then, to affect you now. What is that going to do for your kids? That's going to affect your kids. Because trauma can be passed down. So we got to get out of that victimhood, that victim mentality. And the things that happened in the past, what we got to do? Read that.
Philippians chapter 3 and verse 13. Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before.
He said we got to forget those things that's behind us, because you would never be able to move forward if you constantly looking back. If you constantly thinking about what happened to you in the past, oh, I did this too, I got this, I got that. Man, nobody care. Give me that second Ezra 10 and 15. Now we going to sorrow with you, and we going to weep with you for a time. But you got to be able to get over that own stuff in your mind. We can't get over there for you. Because really, at the end of the day, nobody care. We all got problems. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got something they dealing with. And I guarantee you, somebody that's next to you may want to take the problem that you got. Because there's people in here that want to be here but can't be here. People in here that got diabetes, they got to go to dialysis 3 times a week. And you sitting there moping about not having a mother or father. You know what I'm saying? But you are a mother and father. Do better for your kids. Do better for yourself. Read that.
2 Ezra chapter 10 and verse 15. Now therefore, keep thy sorrow to thyself.
And like I said, as leaders, we going to deal with you accordingly. You know what I'm saying? But the people who just constantly on and on and on. What Ezra said?
Now therefore, keep thy sorrow to thyself, and bear with a good courage that which have befallen thee.
Because at the end of the day, that's your trial. You got to get over it. I can't get over it for you. Your sister beside you can't get over it for you. Brother beside you can't get over it for you. You got to get over that yourself. And if you want to grow in this truth, that's something you got to face, all right? Now, that's the low self-esteem. But we got a lot of young brothers and young sisters in this truth who deal with things like lust, right? In particular, the young boys. Give me 2 Timothy 2 and verse 22. Now, we have a lot of young people in the congregation, you know, a lot of young brothers and a lot of young sisters. And typically, what the young men would deal with is things like lust, porn, the media, you know, all the entertainers today are pushing money, drugs, and women. And that's what they see, and that's what they want to do. But let's see what Timothy says. 2 Timothy 2:22.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 22. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
So Timothy told us to flee youthful lust. What are some of those youthful lusts? Give me 1 John 2 and 15. What are some of those youthful lusts that we deal with as young men, you know, and as young teenagers? Like I said, it's the porn, social media. They got stuff called soft porn now. They got anime porn. It's a new thing to me. I ain't know about that. But you got kids that's watching anime. While parents, you better check these phones, because a lot of these kids be doing stuff up under y'all nose because you're negligent as a parent. We got to tighten up as parents. If you got children, it should be no reason that they got free reign to do whatever they want to do on the phone. They shouldn't even be on the phone 8 hours a day. Right. They should be limited amount of. They should have They should have a limited amount of time that they're on their phones, and it's your job to monitor that. Monitor that phone. Read that.
1 John chapter 2 and verse 15. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world.
Because the thing about the world is that they make it so pleasurable. They make it seem like it's so good. You know, even Moses talk about that, the pleasures of sin for a season. They make these things real appealing. But John said, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Read.
If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
And that's the battle that we're dealing with, right? I think what we fail to realize is that a lot of time we try to play this gray area in the middle when there is no middle ground. There's two paths that Moses gave us. He said, choose life or choose death. You're going to do the right thing or you're going to do the wrong thing. There is no middle ground. So we can't love the world. Why? Because God has given us a love. He gave us the commandments. This is the only thing that's going to save us. It's not the pleasures of the world or the lust of the world. Keep reading.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. What's the lust of the flesh? The things that we want, the things that we desire in this life. You know, the clothes, the cars, the money. You know, the lust of the eyes, the women, the phones. You know, everything that's around us is designed to pull us out of this world, to pull us out of the truth. But we got to be smart and realize, play that nefarious video. It's the last one, I think. Because a lot of times what we do, I want to play this video. It's a funny video. It's not funny, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times we lose the battle because we don't realize that we at war. Every day we wake up, it's a spiritual war. Give me that in 2 Ezra 7 and 57. Every single day we wake up, it's a spiritual war. The reason that we here is to fight our way back to the kingdom. That's the ultimatum that we were given. Read that.
2 Ezra chapter 7 and verse 57. Then answered he me and said, this is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight.
This is the condition of the battle. We're going to have to fight until we die or till Christ return. That's going to be the battle that we got to fight every day, to choose to do the right thing or choose to do the wrong thing. And this is how you know Christians are the devil. They claim to love God. They claim to be Bible believers, but they eat pork. They celebrate Easter. They celebrate Christmas. They celebrate their birthday. The women wear pants in the church. The pastor sleeping with the women. He's still taking tithes. They do nothing the Bible say. But Israelites wake up every single day and we fight to stay in this truth. Right. We fight to keep God's commandments. Play that video.
Ready for round 2?
I didn't know this was a fight.
That's why you're losing.
I apologize.
You take it
my
off.
Professional demeanor.
So that's what Satan's saying. Every day you wake up, you ready for round 2? And because you don't understand that you're in a war, that's why you're losing. That's why you wake up every single day and lose, because you don't realize that this is spiritual war that we fight. All right. Now with the lust, right? We're going to read an example of how playing with that lust over time can destroy you. History of Susanna. We never go here. You know what I'm saying? But I like the story. Good story. History of Susanna. And we're going to start at verse 1. And this is also for the sisters too, because a lot of these sisters have low self-esteem because it's too easy for a man to tell you something in your ear that sound good and you go sleep with him. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of time that comes from you not having a strong father and mother. You know, and we're going to read about Susanna, and the reason why Susanna was righteous was because she was raised in the law. She had a mother and a father that cared about her and taught her the law. Read that.
History of Susanna, verse 1. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Chelcias, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord.
So she feared the Lord. Let's find out what does it mean to fear the Lord. Read.
Her parents also was righteous.
It said her parents also were righteous. Read.
And taught their daughter according to the law of Moses.
How many people in the Christian church teaching their daughter according to the law? The law they say is done away with. But the reason why this Susanna was righteous, because her parents taught her according to the law of Moses. She knew she wasn't supposed to eat pork. She knew how to carry herself. She was a Proverbs 31 woman. She had a husband. She was raised in the law. And that's the same thing that we got to do if we want to see our daughters the same way. Now jump to verse 8. This is the point. The reason why I came here to talk about the lust, right? If you deal with that lust over and over again and you don't check it, this is what's going to happen. Read that.
Verse 8. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her.
Now, these are two elder men. So lust has no age. It gets who it want to get, right? And if you remember in Genesis, when the Lord told Cain, he said, if you do what was pleasing to the Lord, you know what I'm saying, you ain't got to worry about it. But if not, let's read that Genesis 4:4 real quick. I'm sorry. Genesis 4:4. Because like I said, all of our issues and the vices that we have stem from us not obeying the Lord, not doing what we know to be right in our mind. And these older men, they understood and knew what they was doing was wrong, but they kept on entertaining it, right? Read that in Genesis.
Genesis chapter 4 and verse 4. And Abel,
verse 5.
Verse 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
So Cain didn't do what he was supposed to do, and his countenance fell. Now you would think that if you did wrong, why would you be upset? You can't do wrong and then get upset at me for not accepting what you're trying to offer me. So he did wrong and his countenance fell. Now he got low self-esteem. Now he mad. Now he's stressed out. But it was his own work that was evil. Keep reading.
And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen?
Why you disfigure your face? Why your face mad? Read.
If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted?
If you do what I ask you to do, the Lord said he'll accept you. Read.
And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him.
That's how we know sin is a spirit. And if you continue to feed it, it's going to take over your soul. Now, let's read an example of that. Go back to Hosea. So it said these two elders saw Susanna going in and coming out every day.
History of Susanna, verse 8. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed.
So the spirit in them, that sin within them, started to become inflamed. Because instead of turning away when they see a beautiful woman, they continue to look, and they just continue to feed that spirit. Go ahead.
And they perverted their own minds.
How did they pervert their minds? Keep reading.
And turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven.
So they perverted their mind by not turning to the Lord. They continue to feed that lust. Go ahead.
Nor remember just judgment. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet there's not one show another his grief.
So they did this day by day, and they became wounded. They became sick. Both of them were sick, but they didn't confess that one to another. They didn't talk to each other about it. But they both, because they watching day by day. And this also shows you that a lot of the people that's dealing with the same lust in the body, usually you will see them click up together, and they mean no good. See what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful about the crew, the company that you keep. If y'all all y'all talk about when y'all get together is drinking and smoking, y'all got the same vices, and you might want to find you a different crew, or y'all need to confess that fault and try to deal with it. Because if you don't, the same thing that happened to them is gonna happen to you. Keep going.
For they were ashamed to declare their love.
They was ashamed. Now the Lord told us the things that we should be ashamed about in Sirach 42, and declaring your lust is not one of them. Read.
That they desired to have to do with her.
So they both of them wanted her, but they never confessed that to each other. You know what I'm saying? But they knew within their heart, they kept feeding it, and that lust was just inflamed. They became wounded. Go ahead.
Yet they watched diligently.
Yet they continued to watch day by day. Read.
From day to day to see her.
And we don't know how long this went on, but obviously it was long enough for them to do what they did. Keep reading.
And the one said to the other, let us now go home, for it is dinner time.
So this day they said, man, no, it's time to go home. It's time to eat. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. Go ahead.
So when they were gone out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place.
So they both went their separate ways, but they ended up in the same place again. Keep reading.
And after that, they had asked one another the cause. They acknowledged their love.
They said, man, why you come back? Man, I ain't gonna even lie, man. I've been looking at this sister, man, and I'm inflamed. I just gotta have. Man, me too, bro. You know what I'm saying? What we gonna do? Keep reading.
Then appointed they a time, both together, when they might find her alone.
So now they plotting on how they can rape the sister. They want the sister so bad because they fed their lust time and time and time again. We read about the same thing with David. David had the same issue. And what did it lead him to doing? Sleeping with the man's wife, putting him on the front of the battle and killing him. And then taking her to be his wife. You see what lust to do? That's why we got to be very mindful. If these things go unchecked for a period of time, it will destroy us. Now, I would advise y'all to read the rest of that on your own. We ain't got much time. We're going to keep moving, all right? So how do we deal with that? Or what's the fruits of that, right? If you continue to nourish that spirit, whatever that spirit may be within you, it will destroy you. 2 Ezra 16 and verse 67. So to my brothers dealing with that lust, watching that porn day by day, you got the jergens right beside your bed, sock, whatever y'all got. You know what I'm saying? You better stop. You know what I'm saying? You better stop. Because Satan got your number. And he's just laying, he's just waiting. Read that.
2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 67. Behold, God himself is the judge. Fear him. Leave off from your sins.
And that's what it shows. When you can't leave off from those sins, you have no fear of God. And no fear of God is the end result. It comes from a place where you've been entertaining it for a period of time, right? Keep reading.
Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities, to meddle no more with them forever. So shall God lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble.
So you got to make a choice. You got to decide in your mind that you're tired of dealing with your sin. You got to make a decision to serve God. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is, verse 77.
Verse 77. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins.
So when you become bound with something, you become captive to it. Read.
And covered with their iniquities, like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns, that no man may travel through.
Go ahead.
It is left undressed and is cast into the fire to be consumed therewith.
That's the same thing with cancer. You know, these issues go unaddressed for so long to where the tumor is so big now that even if they do decide to cut it out, it'll destroy you. So most people just die. I mean, we got technology and stuff now where they kind of, you know, they can get a little crafty with it. You know what I'm saying? But what's more important is that if you continue to play with your sin, eventually you get to a point where nobody can reach you. And the only solution to this problem is for you to die. And we don't want that for you. You shouldn't want that for yourself. So we got to do better. So how do we get over this lustful spirit that we got? Give me Sirach 18 and verse 18. And the scriptures are here for our benefit. Now, Bishop got the saying, study, pray, and apply. You know, that's what we all should be doing. Studying, praying. But the application part a lot of time is where we fall off at, right? So a lot of the scripture that we're going to read, y'all already know them. Read.
Sirach chapter 18 and verse 18. A fool will upbraid churlishly,
I think it's 18 and 30. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Sirach chapter 18 and verse 30. Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetite.
And like I said, brothers know that, and they understand that if you got a lust and you know this is your vice, you're not supposed to go after it. You're supposed to refrain yourself from that, right? Read.
If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee.
A lot of times you get stood up in front of the congregation and you get put out for fornication or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? That's the result of you going after your lust. But somehow that doesn't stop brothers from doing it. So what it really shows is that we have no fear. You know, and give me 2 Corinthians 12 and verse 9. And 1 Peter 1 and 14. So many of you may or may not work out, right? Or you went to school, whatever you do, right? Anything that you want to be good at requires hard work and dedication. Read that 2 Corinthians 12 and verse 9.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 9. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee.
So God's grace is sufficient for us. It's beneficial for us. Read.
For my strength is made perfect in weakness.
So you only become stronger by applying the law at your weakest point. You know what I'm saying? A lot of you go to the weight room, you know what I'm saying? And when everything is going right, it's not the time where the growth happens. It's when it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's when you don't want to go and you go anyway. That's where the strength comes from. So at your weakest point, you have to find solace. You have to find discipline and desire and love to apply the commandments at your weakest point. Because that's where the growth happens. That's where the strength happens. When everything going good, like, yeah, man, cool. But when you have that urge and you fight the urge, that's where you find the strength at. You know, so you got to have that discipline. You got to have that love, and you got to have that desire to serve the Lord. Because it's not going to be easy. We've been given a choice to choose life or choose death. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but he did say it was going to be worth it. Can you read?
Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in mine infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me.
And that's the point that we have to get to. You know, Paul said, I prayed to the Lord thrice that he take this spirit away from me. But he said, no, I ain't going to take it. You know what I'm saying? Because if I take it away, you won't do right. You know what I'm saying? But that spirit is there to keep you on your toes. So the Lord may not take the spirit of lust away, right? But you're going to have to become stronger, and you're going to have to apply, because he said, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Because as long as those infirmities that you're gonna have to apply, you're gonna have to have the love for Christ to even apply the law. 1 Peter 1 and 14.
The book of 1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 14.
These are more solutions of how we get over the lust, right? Things that we gotta understand in dealing with the lust. Read.
As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lusts in your ignorance, but as he which have called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation.
So he said, as obedient children, not fashioning yourself according to the former lust in your ignorance. We were called into this truth. You know, we didn't decide to come here. We were chosen from the beginning to be here. Just like he told Jeremiah. He said, I ordained you from the beginning. John 14 and 5 said, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. So if the Lord chose you, that means he's seen something in you that he could use. And as obedient children, we got to put away that old man, not fashioning ourselves according to the former lust and the things that we used to do. Because now we're alive. We cast off that old man. You can't go back to the old man once you cast him away. Read.
But as he which have called you is holy, so be ye holy.
So just like God called us as holy, we got to be holy because he's seen us fit to be in this battle. Read.
And all manner of conversation. Because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy.
Even our conversation have to change. Read.
And if ye call on the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear.
So we only here for a short time. That's why he said, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear. And a lot of times with kids, we think that because you think that because you're young, you got time. You know what I'm saying? The Lord still put kids to death. And you're going to be older way longer than you're younger. So what should you be doing in your youth? Give me Sirach 25 and verse 3. In your youth, you should be trying to gain some understanding and some wisdom that you can apply to your life when you get older. Because you're going to be older way longer than you're going to be younger. Your youth only lasts for a short period of time. Our time here is very short, and it's getting shorter now. So read that, Sirach 25:3.
Sirach chapter 25 and verse 3. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth.
If you don't gather nothing in your youth, read.
How canst thou find anything in thine age?
You ain't going to find nothing in your age. So if you don't take the time to apply God's laws to your life now and learn God's laws so you can be a better individual, you're going to waste your time. We see a lot of these old heads out here now, the junkies on the corner. You know, they wasted all their life. All they do is drink. You want to be like that? You've been young in this truth. You should take that, because when we leave here, when the bishop leave, when the deacons leave, when the captains leave, it's going to leave us. It's going to leave the young men. And we got to take this truth further than they taking it.
Right.
We got to pick it up and run with it. We can't let it fall. Give me Sirach 30 and verse 1.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him off to feel the rod.
So that's what we got to do. You know, we can't allow our children, our daughters for that matter, or our sons to be idle. We can't allow them to just do what they want to do. If we love them, we're going to call them off to feel the rod. Yes, then you have to whoop your kids. Beat them on the sides, of course, but some of these kids need to be whooped. And the way they run around the congregation at times, you can tell that they don't get no whooping at home, because they come here and just go crazy. The Lord say, read it again.
He that loveth his son causeth him off to feel the rod.
If you love your child, you're going to have to correct them. You're going to have to tap that behind. Read.
That he may have joy of him in the end.
Because the video we showed earlier, that come from lack of parenting. He didn't get disciplined when he was younger. And there ain't no joy in that. No mother want to see their son on the screen, 14 murders, 2 mass shootings. No mother want to see that. But all you have to blame is the mother and the parents, because obviously they didn't do their job. Verse 8.
Verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong.
So if you don't discipline your children, they're going to become headstrong. And it's going to get to a point where you can't discipline. That's why you got to start when they're young. Read.
And a child left to himself will be willful.
If you don't want your child to be willful, then you're going to have to deal with them when they're young. We got to start now. Verse 11.
Verse 11.
No, verse 9.
Verse 9. Conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness.
You can't pamper your children. Oh, the baby's so cute, this and that. You're always playing with them, this and that. You got to be a parent to your child, not a friend.
Right.
And that's a problem that a lot of parents have out here today. That's the reason why we got the women, the young daughters bringing babies in the house by a man that they ain't married at all, because we play with our children too much. We want to be friends with our children instead of parents. We can't do that because we are failing them. So not only do the children have to make the decision and understand that they have to take it seriously, but as parents, we got to put them in a position to win. We got to put them in a position to succeed. All right. Now, give me the definition of stealth success. Give me Proverbs 4:18. So the same way the process happens with the slow decay or the silent killer is the same way that the process happens with growth, right? A lot of times we want things to happen right now. You know, we want to get rid of the low self-esteem, and we want it to be right now. We want the kingdom right now. You know what I'm saying? But it don't work like that. These things require time. It requires effort. It requires discipline. Read that in Proverbs 4.
Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 18. But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more until the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble.
So it say the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more until the perfect day. That's a process. This doesn't happen overnight. It happens over time. So you got to focus on being 1% better every single day. Give me that in 1 Corinthians 9 and 24. Y'all got that definition? Stealth success.
The book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9 and verse 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize.
Right.
So run that ye may attain. And every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible.
So we are in a race, you know what I'm saying? But the race that we in is not against one another. It's against ourselves. So we have to run as if we're going to obtain the crown at the end, because we all get the crown. You know what I'm saying? I'm not racing against this brother. I'm not racing against that brother. The race is against me. The race is against the demons and the lust that I got to fight within myself. Read.
I therefore so run, not as uncertainly.
I don't run uncertainly. I don't run like I'm not going to win the race. Because what's the point of racing if you don't feel that you're going to win? You're wasting your time. So we can't be uncertain in this truth. We got to be sure. We got to be bold. We got to be the men that the Lord and the women that the Lord called us to be. Read.
So fight I, not as one that beateth the air.
Don't be what the dude the movie what the movie Boys in the Hood when Ricky was. We can't be like that. We can't be like one that beateth the air. Read.
But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection.
We got to bring our bodies into subjection. We got to bring our minds into subjection. We can't be subject to the low self-esteem, to the depression, to the stress. We the Israelites. We God's chosen people.
That's right.
What do we got to be stressed about now? It's going to come a time where we're going to have to stress. You know what I'm saying? Where the real stress is going to come. But if we can't get over these little things that we got going on now, when the persecution come, we're not going to survive. Read.
Lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
So we can't be castaways, all right? So I'm going to run through a few more scriptures. Give me Acts 7:57. We're going to talk about Paul, and then we're going to close it out. Paul, because from the flip side, you got that silent killer that from low self-esteem to destruction, right? But Paul was a cancer to the Israelites. You know, he was persecuting the Israelites. He was killing them. He was on the opposite end of that spectrum. We're going to show you how over time he got better and he worked his way to the kingdom. So some of us were murderers and drug dealers and whoremongers in the world. There is hope. We just got to work at it day by day and get 1% better each day. Acts 7:57.
Acts chapter 7 and verse 57. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord and cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul.
Verse 8, chapter 8 and verse 1.
Chapter 8, verse 1. And Saul was consenting unto his death. And at that time there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem. And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles.
So Saul at this time was persecuting the church. He was a cancer to the church. He was killing the Jews. Anybody that spoke on the name of Christ, he put him to death. He consented to Stephen's death, right? So he was a problem. But what happened to Paul? Acts 9 and 1.
Book of Acts chapter 9 verse 1. And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went into the high priest and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem.
So he had letters to kill the Jews that came to Jerusalem. Verse 3.
Verse 3. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? And he said, Who art thou, Lord? And the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest. It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks.
So at this point in time, Paul was called by the Lord. The Lord made him understand that what he was doing was not righteous. And it was at this time that Paul had to change. He make a decision. And from this point on, you read about Saul's suffering. Acts 9 and 20.
Acts chapter 9 and verse 20. In straightway he preached Christ in the synagogues, that he is the Son of God. But all that heard him were amazed and said, Is not this he that destroyed them which called on this name in Jerusalem, and came hither for that intent, that he might bring them bound unto the chief priests? But Saul increased the more in strength, and confounded the Jews which dwelt at Damascus, proving that this is very Christ. And after that many days were fulfilled, the Jews took counsel to kill him.
So Paul's trial started immediately. He immediately started to suffer persecution when he started following Christ. And that's the same thing that we all gonna have to go through. That's the same thing that the prophets over there in Kenya went through. They put off that mentality where they dealing with the low self-esteem and stuff like that. And we suffering real persecution right now. Play that video that the brothers got stoned over there in Kenya, right? The same thing that Paul went through through his many travels and journeys is the same thing that we going through today. And believe it or not, Israel is coming to America. So you better get rid of this low self-esteem, get rid of the stress and the little petty stuff, because persecution is coming. And we got to make sure that we standing in that persecution, all right? Play that video.
Says God chose you, brother, in the yellow shirt, you, to be a special people. You know how special you are. You know how special you are.
See that? All for teaching that Jesus Christ is a black man and God's chosen people are the Israelites. The Lord said, who gonna rise up for me? Who gonna stand up against the workers of iniquity? Because that's what we face with right now. That's what we're gonna have to go through. So I hope y'all preparing y'all soul. I hope y'all preparing y'all spirit. Because if you say you want to sit on that seat with Christ, that's what we're gonna have to go through. Matthew 20 and verse 20. We're gonna read to verse 28 and then we're gonna get ready to close it out.
The book of Matthew, chapter 20 and verse 20. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, what wilt thou? She saith unto him, grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on thy left.
And that's what we all want. I hope every brother in here want to be able to sit on the right hand of Christ, want to be able to sit with the Father. So she asked as a mother, and this is what the mother should be doing. You should be encouraging your children to sit beside Christ, to be around the men of God. So if the question was, can my son sit on your right side? What did he say?
But Jesus answered and said, ye know not what ye ask.
You don't know what you asked. Y'all see what we just seen on the screen? The persecution that we're going to have to face? Read.
Are ye able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of? And to be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with? They say unto him, we are able. And he said unto them, ye shall drink indeed of my cup and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with.
So guess what? The same way that Christ suffered is the same way that we're going to have to suffer. All right. So guess what? The issues we've been overcoming in America little by little. So it's going to take that same effort, the discipline, the consistency, through truth and obedience to begin to heal. Give me Wisdom of Solomon 6, verse 1, and we're going to close it out. So the same way that we got overcome through these silent killers, the same way that we're going to overcome through stealth success. We're going to have to fight day by day. We're going to have discipline. We're going to have to be obedient. We're going to have to pray. We're going to have to fast. We're going to have to study. And we're going to have to apply, even when it get hard, because it ain't going to always be easy. Read that.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse 1. Hear therefore, O ye kings, and understand. Learn ye that be judges of the ends of the earth.
So we the judges, right? We the kings. Who's the king? Christ. We say that all the time, right? So we understand that we going to be the ones that's ruling. We understand that we the judges of the earth. Verse 17.
Verse 17. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline.
The first thing we got to have is discipline. We got to be disciplined. Read.
And the care of discipline is love.
And when we get enough discipline, and then we had a desire to apply God's commandments. Read.
And love is the keeping of her laws. And the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption.
So this is the process. Like I said, the same way that we got destroyed, it's going to be the same way that we get the kingdom. The discipline, the love, the keeping of the commandments, the assurance of life. Read.
And incorruption make us near unto God.
So the assurance of incorruption, and we become incorruptible, we become near to God. Read.
Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore.
So this is the process that we're going to have to go through if we want to get the kingdom of God. All right. So Israel, I hope y'all can get some out of the class. Pray you all been edified. With that, we say shalom. Play that last video.
Our march for a safer tomorrow. Israel united in Christ. 12 tribes of Israel, blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, we are the Israelites. We must organize and come together as one race, one people, in the name of our black King, Jesus Christ. There's a lot of deportation going on here, a lot of disunity, and it's not just because of the current administration. It's always been like that. I just believe that this current administration will force us to organize, come together in unity. And it's important that our people see unity like you've never seen unity before. Blacks and Latinos, we must come together as well.
What is a nation? Nation is men leading by example. Nation is family.